All right, guys. So if you've been watching my channel for a while, it's no secret that I like to talk about the internal politics of the Republican Party, right? It really is the most fascinating thing in politics to me. Okay, it really is, because the Republican Party is going through some changes. Okay, and there are two sides, right, that are distinctly kind of different at this point. And that's not how it's been historically. This is a more recent phenomenon. We have the establishment, Mitch McConnell, Kevin McCarthy, basically 95% of the congressional GOP is straight up establishment. Now, the other side of the GOP is the non-establishment. They are the base in a sense, okay? Because most of the base is behind Trump. And also local governments and legislators are also behind Trump. Okay, so that's kind of how the party is divided. You have the elites that are in Congress, and then you have the non-elites that are normal people and local legislators that back Trump. That's just kind of how it's divided. Now, when Mitch McConnell came out and gave his speech after Trump's impeachment trial, I told you guys, for somebody like Mitch McConnell, who is the de facto leader of the party, okay, congressionally, put it that way, from a policy standpoint, when somebody like him comes out and basically advocates for Trump to continue to have criminal and civil penalties put against him, that's a big deal. That tells you how the establishment actually feels about Trump, right? All these other people can go out there and they can march out there and say whatever they want about President Trump. They can kiss up to him. However, what McConnell's saying is how they actually feel, because he has been the man in the Republican Party before Trump came to disrupt everything. Okay, and what has happened is that Trump is now fighting to be kingmaker of the Republican Party. Okay, he wants to be a kingmaker, and he's doing a good job of positioning himself as a kingmaker, right? Because he's trying to raise his own money. He's trying to run his own candidates. He's trying to do what McConnell does, which is raise money and run candidates. But McConnell also controls the legislation as well. But with that being said, the secret weapon that Trump does have is that he has the people. He has the people behind him. He has the base behind him. And ultimately, that's going to be his leg up. So a lot of people are wondering, is Trump going to run in 2024, right? And how the GOP is going to respond to that. Because we already know people like McConnell would rather not see Trump be the nominee in 2024. We already know that. That's not a secret. And Kevin McCarthy came out and gave us a hint in terms of what the establishment is thinking about in regards to who they want to be the nominee in 2024. Take a look.
But the part that made the most history tonight, this will be the first time the response has upstaged the president. People are going to start talking tomorrow that Tim Scott should be running for president. Could you imagine him on the debate stage versus Joe Biden? It's not even close. His most compelling story about the exceptionalism of America. When Tim, who is a close personal friend, tells that story of his grandfather, who has his two grandsons at the kitchen table every day in that newspaper in front of him, it was only years later that Tim find out his grandfather could not read, but wanted a better life for his grandsons because he knew that's what America meant, that he wanted him involved in the current events. And now Tim Scott is the first black American ever to be elected to Congress and to Senate.
Now, a lot of people was mad at this, right? On certain websites that conservatives hang out at, they was pissed. They was pissed because they saw this as the GOP dumping Trump, right? Like a slap in the face. Kevin McCarthy is straight up floating that Tim Scott should be the Republican nominee. That's literally what he's saying. And when the House Minority Leader of the Republican Party says something like that, he makes that statement in terms of who he's backing, essentially who he thinks should be across the stage from Joe Biden. That tells you exactly what the establishment is thinking. Somebody in a leadership position like Kevin McCarthy would not go out there and say something like this lightly, right? He did that on purpose, okay? He tried to sell Tim Scott to the Fox News audience as the 2024 GOP nominee. And guys, don't get me wrong. This is not a video that's supposed to pit Tim Scott against Trump. Okay, I thoroughly believe that if Trump runs, it doesn't matter, right, what the establishment wants in regards to who they want the nominee to be. Trump's going to win because he has the base. But I just want you guys to be aware of the fact that I believe, and this is just my opinion. This is just my opinion. I don't believe that the Republican Party is attached to Trump after 2022. I just don't. I think that they're purely using Trump to win in 2022. And after that, I don't know. I don't know, right? Because obviously there are people in the party like the Liz Cheneys, the Mitt Romneys, the Adam Kinzingers, the Ben Sasse that's just like, no, we're just done with Trump. Okay, and then there's those in the party like McConnell that's like, yeah, I'm basically done with Trump, but I'm not going to like go out of my way to say I'm done, right? You know what I'm saying? And then you have people like Kevin McCarthy that have been trying to bridge the relationship between the Republican Party and Trump, right? Trying to keep the establishment and Trump together. But then he comes out and says something like this, okay? That tells you what he's really thinking. The Republicans are not just going to let Trump run unopposed, right? The established Republicans are not going to let Trump run unopposed. They're going to try to run somebody against him. Now, again, like I said, I believe that Trump will win no matter what. I'm just saying this because I don't want you guys to be surprised that after 2022, we see a drastic change from the GOP in terms of the establishment's feelings about Trump. Like guys like Kevin McCarthy's, the Lindsey Grahams, the Nikki Haley's. I mean, we saw Nikki Haley try to do it. They might not necessarily be so favorable towards Trump after 2022, right? Like I told you, somebody like Nikki Haley, she thought that Trump was done after the Capitol incident. That's why she came out and said what she said. She thought that after that, like, okay, he's done. Like, this is the time to go after him. And she was wrong, right? She made a terrible political calculation. Once she realized she made that terrible political calculation, she reeled it back in, right? She did an about face real quick. The reason why is because all these people are calculated politicians. And the establishment, basically, they all think the same. Okay, that's just how it is. Speaking of Nikki Haley, she came after the last establishment pick, Jeb Bush, in 2016. Now, obviously, Trump defeated Bush. And then after Trump, guess what? Everybody was talking about Nikki Haley being next in line. Okay, and Nikki Haley was kind of the person to be next in line until she rubbed Trump supporters the wrong way. Because she sullied her relationship with Trump supporters, making a terrible political calculation. Now, the establishment has moved on to Tim Scott. Tim Scott has not done that. Okay, Tim Scott made certain political calculations about talking about the election. And then he made another political calculation when it came to not wanting to vote to convict President Trump in impeachment. Being outwardly outspoken about like, no, we should not convict President Trump. Those are all political calculations, guys. And I'm just making this video because I'm seeing how the establishment is kind of moving, right? And I keep very close watch on what they say, what they do, how they kind of move. And I think that, to me, it is very apparent that the establishment really, really, really wants to win in 2022. And then after that, I think it's a toss-up in regards to whether or not these guys are going to be as friendly to Trump as they've been. But I think it is apparent that in the long run, I think that I just wouldn't be surprised if you see the establishment, again, do an about face. Okay? I'm just saying. But with all this being said, guys, it really underscores the need for Trump to establish his own kind of version of the Republican Party, right? To have those who are in line with him, okay, in the America First platform, and to be very thorough and coordinated about how he goes about trying to gain power within the party. And I think he's done a good job of that thus far. I really do. And it's interesting because he was doing an interview with Maria Bartiromo in which he basically floated the idea of Ron DeSantis being a running mate. And I think that will be a ticket that a lot of people in the base would like. Again, it's very interesting because Ron DeSantis is Trump-like, right? It's almost like you would be getting a tell it like it is person 24/7, okay? And somebody that's a more tell it like it is person definitely is probably going to be more popular with the party than somebody like, a Tim Scott that's more reserved, okay? I think conservatives, particularly today's Republican/conservative party, really do want people that are going to go on the attack, right? They want people that's going to tell it like it is, that's going to go after the Democrats, that's going to say the things that need to be said. That's what they want. But for that same reason that makes Trump and DeSantis so strong, that's also the same reason why somebody like Mike Pence was the perfect VP for Trump, right? Because Pence was more reserved. He was more religious. He just had an aura about him that was more kind of safe, more traditional, right? Something that people are going to be more comfortable with, okay? And that's more who Tim Scott is. So I'm saying this to say that, I think a Trump-DeSantis ticket would definitely be amazing for the base, right? It would be the most exciting ticket for the base in a long, long time, right? I can only imagine how crazy people would go for a Trump-DeSantis ticket. However, I just wouldn't be surprised if, ultimately Trump goes with somebody that's a little bit more reserved. Okay, somebody that's not going to take the spotlight away from him and somebody that's going to compliment him like Pence. I think that Tim Scott could be somebody that would do that, right? I think Tim Scott is somebody that definitely would be more ideal for a VP role in the Republican Party rather than being on the front of the ticket. Okay, I think he's somebody that a lot of people will say, okay, he's like a Pence type of guy. He's more calm. He's more reserved. He's definitely, more religious, more safe, right? You feel comfortable with him, right? You know what you're getting. And that's somebody I think that the establishment is probably going to try to pair with Trump. If they don't try to sever their relationship with Trump after 2022, if they keep rolling with Trump, I would expect to see a ticket that's more like that. Trump paired with somebody that's more reserved, somebody that's really going to balance him out to try to bring in some of those moderates and those disaffected Democrats. So, I'm just making this video as purely political speculation, okay? Because I saw that a lot of people were upset that they, think that Kevin McCarthy is betraying Trump. And I'm trying to tell people like, bruh, these people have no loyalty to anybody. The only thing they have loyalty to is the money, okay? So nobody should be surprised that the Republican establishment is going to float other people outside of Trump to run in 2024. It is what it is. However, I do believe that no matter what they do, if Trump wants to run, then he's definitely going to be the nominee as of right now. It's hard for me to imagine a scenario in which that's not the case. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.